Diksha, can you allow me to share? Okay. Uh, okay, I think we are talking about this guy. Mm, okay. Can someone confirm if my screen is showing correctly?
I can see veteran works and you are live right now. It's
Okay,
3:30.
okay, so stop sharing. Veteran works. I thought it was this guy. Okay, I think now we are at the right place. Okay, so we can get this thing rolling. So firstly, thank you everyone for taking your time from a very busy Wednesday and coming to AI Expo. So before we start, some house cleaning stuff. So basically, this event. So guys, we everyone. So we are going through this evolution, this disruptive times, and whenever there's a disruption we need as a society more town squares where we all can come, we all can share, all can express ourselves. And these events that we are putting together, and thanks to Diksha from No Worker, these events are crucial and critical, and these are basically hopefully will help you find the answers that you're looking for. Hopefully these communities will help coordinate with other members, and basically because there's so much disruption happening, so much changes are happening all around us, we want to make sure that it's helping. So thank you everyone, thank you for showing up. There are a lot of channels, there are a lot of vendors out there that you can talk to. Go and say hi, send your contacts, send your if you have any question. This is our town square, so we should go in these channels, we should go in these groups and have those conversation. There are some recruiters, find them, say hi, say hello, reach out to them even on LinkedIn if you have to. If you have a very small question or query, there are tables you can create. This is one of the fascinating product, and we talked about these opportunities. So you can create your own table. You have a small ask, go to those tables and basically and have those conversation. So thank you. And today's topic is no different. So we had a lot of internal conversation around what topic should we do to celebrate AI Expo. And we ourselves deal a lot with AI in our internal. We have our own internal lab. We have our open source community at the work company. So we do a lot of fun stuff. And we said, okay, um, what talk can we give that will help you, our audience, um, who are job seeker, who are product managers, who are technical bent, building the next AI solutions, who are entrepreneurs trying to understand and make sense of this evolution and how companies are adopting. And we found a very interesting take on some of the things that we very strongly believe internally at the work company, so that we do play a lot. So hope you find this interesting. So we'll go over this session, then at the end we hopefully we will have some time for chat, for Q&As, if anything. If not, I will show up in those chats, and we can maybe have a personal one-on-ones. We can have I can throw a table into the mix, so we can have a discussions about that. So thank you so much. So let's quickly get started. So today's talk is about the myth of the talking toaster. So it's meant to be a weird title. Basically, and I'll get to the point, and hopefully you'll understand what I'm trying to say. So I when I wake up today morning, so when I woke up, so I it was an alarm clock. Alarm clock was very loud and blunt and saying just beeping through. I woke up, I shut it down, went downstairs, went to Keurig, put my coffee pot in, get myself a Java bake, and then put my toaster, get a toast, and start eating, and quickly get to my job. So that's the world. So everything that's built around around me is helping me get to my most promising, most happy moment, the value system faster. So one second. So basically, all it is doing is preserving my value. So what is a value? Value is so capitalism is designed on the promise of constantly emerge growing value and contained uh, predictable value system. So basically, whatever I'm doing, it is supporting me on the areas that I'm very bad at, and hoping to give me time, and actually giving me times which I'm really good at. So it is preserving my value system. So when we talk about understanding the today's ecosystem, the understanding of value system is very important. Say very simple example, you are here, you are already here. How to make the best of it? Network, talk to each other, do express your issues with your friends and fellows, and build relationships, build networks, and then discuss, get into this conversation. It's a very important and fascinating time, and thankfully we have these tools available today that were not available before, that can let us do a lot more. So now this value system. So now if you think about, so the value understanding of value is very important to think about how we are delivering, how we are communicating, sort of what how I'm beneficial to you or not. So in a way, if I take a step back, what happened? So there was tools. So alarm clock is a tool. Basically, Keurig is a tool. Toaster is a tool, and that tool gets me what I want with minimum amount of interface, minimum amount of engagement. There was a hammer. So typical example is hammer. It's very good at hammering. No, practically almost none engagement required. Then we talk about my washer and dryer. They gets their job done. Dishwasher gets the job done. No interaction required. Few poop, 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 and then we are back on onto our stuff. That's how the tools are designed to facilitate us to create more or more value in the ecosystem. Now we talk about the AI based powered systems. So it's the funny thing. So I went to so a couple of weeks back, a friend of mine gave me. So he has a startup that works on this alarm clock. Nothing good on. It's a very good product. So um, that alarm clock negotiate. It's the most cognitively happy way to wake someone up. So it starts negotiating with me that Vishal, wake up. It's a beautiful day. And then I said, no, I'm feeling sleepy. How are you feeling? Are you feeling good? Feeling bad? Whatever. So it just had this numerous conversation with me before it convinced me to be up and running. So then now last year I saw this company in CES. They have this mirror that tells you if you're groggy, or if you're happy, or like if you had a good sleep, or if your face looks tired and all that. And that company is no longer, it shut down. Maybe I don't know why. We all wonder, but the point is, now imagine that dystopian future. I'm negotiating with my clock. Now I go and negotiate with my mirror, saying that Vishal, you may need more sleep. I went downstairs to my toaster, and my toaster says, hey, you have already failed your diet. Maybe you should not have a breakfast today. So a lot of these like if you tally them up, a lot of these are engaging with me and disrupting me. Disrupting me how? and that's the most important word. So attention. So we with ChatGPT came up, they come up with this paper called "Attention is All You Need." And initially, it was funny. Like last year, we were talking about this at one of the seminars, and we thought it's meant for AI, but no, it's meant for us too. So what is an attention? Why it is important? Attention is very important for a value system, which is very important for a capitalist society, which is designed to produce a lot of value. So if we want to be valuable, we want to maximize our attention towards value generation. It is the sort of most efficient way to generate a lot more value. And what is attention? Attention is nothing but time, focus, and intention. So now imagine a nudge here, a nudge there, right? I'm happily, I can talk with this alarm clock about my day and my yesterday and my day before yesterday and how what is happening in my life. Fast, and probably the alarm clock will give me a fascinating response that I could hear about. But then I'm losing my so now these tools are now attacking my attention. They are cross padding into my attention, which is creating lot more struggles. So now if you think about this, okay, so what we are talking about now, let's a little bit geek a bit of it. It's an AI Expo. We have to talk about how it will impact the AI ecosystem that we are directly or indirectly serving today. So everything that works around us is like a system. A system has a certain output, a certain input, and certain processing in the middle. Now imagine this Keurig is one system, and I am one system. I'm interacting with the Keurig. Now Keurig keep asking me random question: how much temperature you want in your coffee? Do you want your coffee to be 78 or 79? I think you would love 80 today because the weather is this. Maybe you should go for 50 because it's very hot outside. Fascinating thought. But then again, if you talk about purely from capitalist value system point of view, if you just nerd it out, it's not efficient. These tools that we are dealing with today are uh, encroaching a lot more into our value system, which is our attention, and that is something we need to understand, and that's why this system. Now, if we talk about the system needs order. So now imagine you build a company whose productivity is maybe good or maybe not good. Can you build a business around that maybes and sort of and almost? So you have to have some sense of predictability. You need to have some set of discipline, some set of order. So if you're building a system for any company, if you're evaluating a system for your company, you have to understand how predictable the order is. Otherwise, it will not only disrupt in its own order, any system it engages with, it will start disrupting there as well. Hence, there is no reason you have every day, almost all of us have some spend time with some GPT of some favorite GPT of ours, and you can see what's happening there. You can see that how some of these companies are designing their these models to extract as much of our attention on these kind of tools. So very, very important to understand the order and preserve it. So let's talk about what order is, because again, as an AI system, whether we are working with it, for it, and or supporting someone else who is doing it, we have to understand that how to deliver this order in the system. So to understand the system, you have to understand the order. So there are like five sorts that we typically look for. One, I think we talked about it, attention. If I am attentive, only then I can give you my value. If I am half here, half there, then maybe I will be of negative value to wherever which system we are talking about. So it was funny. So I was talking to a CEO friend of mine, and he was showing me how AI efficient his company is, and he showed me up a dashboard with 47 slides, with 47 cute slides, beautifully designed slides. Okay, and he said, Vishal, this is what we deliver every day. This is our output, and this is what we do. This is fascinating things we can do. And I asked him a very simple question. Then I said, okay, so this week, if something happens, which among these 47 will be impacted? Which do you know that which are? And he said, Vishal, so don't worry. I have a team that looks at this dashboard, that gives us that answer. So I said, okay, that means you have a system to read another system observation, right? So you have a system designed to read the outcome of another system that may be a several systems itself. So how efficient is that, right? And he totally broke down. He said, yeah, sometimes I feel that too. On the other story, I have a very good investor friend of mine. He is a partner with a company, with a venture fund which has a couple of $1 billion in their assets. And he was talking about this one deck, one slide, only one slide. He said, "This Vishal, this slide, I just get this for any startup. If I don't fit my things in there, I'm not investing." And now think about that value system. He is optimizing the value for decision making, for decisiveness. That's the efficiency we want in basically in the attention. Attention is very, very critical. So now let's talk about identity. So now it's important to get the maximum value of from a system. So whether you are in support call, whether you are in tech team, whether you are, so you have to understand the all the actors. So called, we can say in a play, you should know all the actors and their lines to be methodical and uh, expect a consistent outcome. So now if you think about it, so basically uh, imagine uh, we are all using customer service for uh, chatbot using for customer service supports. I don't know how much it works, right? So we also have tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed. We are also this idea of FOMO. Okay, so that we have to deploy AI as soon as possible to help our community to find jobs, find whatever they're looking for, and give them learning and development solutions that they need to quickly get to this next big thing very soon, rather than sort of going through this 2 year, 3 months courses and whatnot. So now, if you think about understanding the identity is very, very important, because now, if suppose I have a confession to make. In our company, we have an AI that mirrors me, and I have a coin. So basically, whenever we decide something, we use AI and we use coin toss and what I decide, and we capture that. And so far, all three of us are failing. Okay, but the most important thing is very soon. So if you think about how systems are designed, AI systems are designed, they're not designed to be correct. They're designed to be efficient. They're designed to get you the answer in a least amount of token, because there is a cap that everyone is fearing for. So now when that happens, it's not designed for being correct, right? That's why when you see the initial wave coming, there were a lot of hallucinations going on. There are a lot of those inefficiencies that emerged, and then our answer to those inefficiencies is creating agents to counter those agents, and then other agent to counter this agent. So we are throwing a lot of these hallucination on top of each other to get the performance corrected. So with that concept, it's very important. Identity is very important in a system, because if you know the identity, you can deliver the optimal value for that identity to add in the system, and we'll tell you why very, very soon. So now we know each individual. Okay. Now let's talk about community. What's the next level in the system? So I know me, I know Keurig. Now I'm interacting with the Keurig. So how do I interact with the Keurig? That become so think of this. Do you want a world's most beautiful product, or do you want a product that sort of get your job done but brings you the enormous community that supports you in your random adventures that you are expecting from that product? So our product is a very good example, friends. So many of we get a lot of requests. Hey, why don't you give us a Zoom call so we all can network? Right? It's a very fair ask. It's a very, but my question to you is, what are we trying to solve here? Are we trying to solve everyone's stuff in a room so we can chat? And can we even chat? Or are we do we want that none of us should be alone in our journey. We should have the community support. And so it is designed for this idea of community. If you have the right community around you, so systems are never alone. So there is this idea of we have been sold too much Hollywood, right? There's one guy, a James Bond, goes to enemy territory alone and get solve everything and come out. But if you see under the rug, right, it's the protagonist is talking to systems. There are trainings going on, there are tracking going on, the technology that sits out there to support this. So it's not alone. There's an ecosystem around every one of us in our movie to make sure that we are efficient. So as when we're designing, we need to make sure that we understand the system and the community that goes for it. So now we know communities. Now let's take a step back. Now understand the boundaries. So same example that we spoke about, that um, basically the Keurig is supposed to give me coffee. Now I'm having a negotiation talk with Keurig or my toaster. So now that means, what are the boundaries? So that attention is now demanding my attention, right? Two systems are now, so should the two system fuse so that we can, and that's how the human brain thinks. That's why the company thinks, let's get rid of few people and just work on the, because they look like infused. So we don't know if it's AI or if it's people behind AI. It looks like AI because AI is giving us the answer. So maybe it's AI, and let's get the AI, the entire shot. But as a company, as a system engineer, as a system designer, as an architect, as a designer, you have to understand each systems are properly used, utilized, and basically appreciated. So you can understand. So boundaries is very important. So think about basically in our case. So I think we tried last year this experiment on people are not happy on our product for some other reasons. So one of the answers that we asked GPT, and GPT said, hey, maybe we should double or triple the emails, because if they're informed, they will know exactly what to do. And then one of the team member of us says, oh, no, they're struggling in their journey. So maybe if someone can navigate through the journey, half the. So I think so. Okay, so that's very, very important. And that is called intention. So intention is the fifth order that we have to understand. We have to sort of design, because if the intention is clear, because that's the other thing. Many times the intentions get muddled up. Okay, so suppose, and this is what's happening in the AI ecosystem. Everyone is using AI. I should use the AI too, and that's where the intent comes. The intent is not to solve a particular problem, but to get AI in so I can figure out what problem I have that AI can solve. And then I put a lot of people behind it and the intention. And if you give the intent to a system, right, then system is greedy. Systems are designed to sort of facilitate its outcome and its input and its output. And when the output is not clearly defined, system already knows that the as much input as possible is beneficial for some output that may or may not be possible. And that drives a lot of this um, erratic behavior, adopting early, prematurely, seeing a lot of failures. MIT put up a study, or 95% of the projects are not, and even it's not even MIT. Like even we in our data is seeing a lot of this rush to deploy AI and get rid of people, and that's why we are talking to a lot of our partner companies to ask to them that slow down and understand the value, because you still it's very difficult to hire people. It's very easy to succumb to a stat and say, okay, if I'm nothing but a stat, definitely getting rid of me would show up very quickly. But the value that I bring to my, because again, if you look at the community brings a network effect. So 1 plus 1 is 11 in the world of community. It's not two. So analytically, it's two. If we just put 1 plus 1 into the mix, but there's always this idea of network effect that comes into the ecosystem that needs to be preserved and maintained. So that is extremely important, understanding that intent. So now, to sum it up, basically what we are saying, that we have to, I think, value every system, and we have to uh, every system we have to understand every values. So if you are interacting, if your coworkers are, because many times it's very easy to give up to stats. Okay, it's a fancy word, the market is hot, but if for it's if it's a matter of stats, big data tools, analytic companies, AI models can do it far better than what we can do as a humanity in it. So that's our only edge into this conversation, is to add to basically bring our value system. If our value system is impacted by, again, this talking mirror, or negotiating alarm clock, or a talking coffee, what value am I bringing to this? So that's where I think we all should take away, and make sure when you talk to companies, you talk about um, all the whys, why we are doing what we are doing, how we can do it better, what is the intent, what are we looking for, what is the attention boundaries. What I think, so it is very, very important to ask these five things to people that you interact, because that will give you the clearer picture whether you're looking. So we have a lot of people that we interview for our labs, and many times when we ask them, uh, we get very stereotypical responses many times. We basically, the clear gap that we see is many of the engineers today, including some of the very good ones, do not understand the system. They are very good at solving. So all the $1 million workers that we hear about, they are not solving for systems. They are solving for problems. And when you solve for the problem, it's very temporary, because problem will keep on coming. If you're in any particular system that generates value, imagine. So now I have Keurig. So Keurig does not solve my headache. Now I have a coffee. Now maybe I want a vanilla on a flavor on top. So people requirements keep on. So the value systems keeps on evolving. So it doesn't need to encroach in any attention, any identity, any community, any boundary, or any intention of other systems. So that's why when you design, as a good system architect, as a good uh, uh, on strategy person, or as a good architect, understand all the systems involved, and deliver your value. So with that, thank you again, everyone. So we are a little bit early. I want to leave some time to for any question and answers. If anything, let me know. I don't know if how much if I have too much time. Let me see. Maybe I'll go to the chat. Diksha, do we have any questions anywhere that I can talk about?
Thank you, Vishal, so much for the discussion. There is a question from the audience. You can read it on the chat.
Okay, 1 second. Where in the Zoom chat?
In the Zoom chat.
1 second. Okay, I got it. No, that's a Zoom interface. 1 second. It just okay. This is the chat. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's so the question is, if I'm leading an AI product team today, what's one concrete change I should make on Monday that best applies your order framework without slowing us down? So first is again, so this is my. If you took anything from the conversation, it is not the one thing. It is the intent. It is basically when you are thinking of this as a system. So first you have to ask is we have to understand the system. So again, this is a very specific to your environment problem, and I'll be more than happy if you can send me an email on this, and I can talk more. 1 second. Where is the there's an email. Yeah, there's an email. Okay. So basically, what you're looking, so so if I were you, talk about the intent. What are we trying to achieve? Asks enough whys very quickly. That maybe there's a quick win, and then there's always a and B way of do things. There's a fast and slow way of doing things. If they want something done by Monday, right? So figure out if there's a fast system change. That again, my only reservation in the whole scenario in whole ecosystem is understanding the system is very important. So if you understand someone's system, you can basically serve that better. So understand the system and see what you can deliver quick, and then what you can deliver slow. Pitch them both, whatever they prefer, go for it. So, where have you personally seen AI hurt human potential, and how would your orders have changed that? So, okay. So basically, okay. So, where have you personally seen AI hurt human potential, and how would your orders have changed that design? So basically, these orders are nothing but the way to analyze the attention confusion, right? Because the systems. So what I've seen today is how it is people are struggling to solve a particular problem. So what I've seen is that how the attention span between two systems is intermingling. That is making both the experiences of this system A and system B a big problem. So how we can solve that? So that is where I know it solves, because once you ask the right question, you understand the boundaries, you create a very clean adapters, which is extremely essential. Because even if you want to bring in other modeling tools to solve these business problems, you can do that very well. So with that, I think I'm almost over. So thank you so much, everyone. My contact is here. If anyone wants to just send me anything, send me a note. I will be hanging around on the chat. So thank you. With that, let me bring my friend Jefferson Romero as the next speaker. One second, let me shut my stuff down. So stop share. Okay, Jefferson, take it over.
Thanks a lot, Vishal, and hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here, so thank you so much for this time. And today, I'm representing IBM from the Corporate Social Responsibility, and my name is Jefferson Romero, the Implementation Manager for US. And this is a special time to share about how AI has impact in the different aspects of our life. So, as IBM Skills Build in a corporate social responsibility, I want to talk just a little more about this specific focus on education and workforce development. This is something important to mention. As you know, AI skills right now are the main currency for AI economy. So it's almost involved in 98% of the activities that right now we are doing. Also, those activities that we are improving and getting an extra value to be competitive in different areas. So as IBM, and before to talk about our micro learnings, I want to mention that it's our main commitment to skill around 30 million people globally by 2030. And in this larger goal, we are expecting that IBM aims to scale around 2 million people specifically in AI by 2026. So this is a huge challenge, but it's a challenge that is going to have a really good impact in three different aspects for people: reskilling, upskilling, and employability. And I guess that's something really important also to make that the things happen in a different way. So, how are we expecting to do this one, and why are you involved in this method? It's about IBM Skills Build. So, IBM Skills Build have different characteristics, features that are going to impact as a program of free education. This is learning with access for everyone. The idea is that you have the access to that option to access to technology education, and through this program or the different programs that we have in different areas like cybersecurity, AI as one of our main focus, we support all the learners, high school and university students and faculty. This is something really important because we are not just with the students, also with the teachers to learn and teach how to develop those AI skills. So in this program, we include an online platform available 24/7, and this is something really important. And it's customized with practical learning experiences, deliver, and collaboration. So I guess this is something really good for us. And right now we are talking about our platform. So when we talk about our platform, I wanna do one special exercise. We are going to read this QR code in order to see how our platform looks inside of that. So you are going to be able to scan this QR code. Otherwise, there is a code at the bottom side that you can see is ibn.biz/BBBBLD. However, if you read the QR code, it's going to be easier to open. And if you want to take from your laptop, you can share that link from your cell phone, your mobile phone, your tablet to your laptop. It depends on what kind of screen is better for you. When we open this one, what are we going to see? So let me change my screen to show it how it looks like when we click on that. We are going to see this one in our corporate. Just 1 second while we open this one. We are going to see this picture. So as soon as we read the QR code, you are going to see this landing page. Hi there. How would you like to log into IBM Skill Build? So we have two options. One, if you already have one account with IBM Skills Build, you are going to log in using the different options that you already have. Otherwise, you can sign up. And when you sign up, we have four different options. Our suggestion is one of those two ones. One, sign up with Google or Gmail account because almost everyone has one Gmail account, or sign up with email. Both of them are really easy to do, and we need to complete the profile. So this time, I'm going to select sign up with Google Gmail. When I select this option, the system is going to ask me what is the account that I'm going to select. If you have more than one, you need to accept, complete the permissions processes, and the next step is going to complete our profile before to see the permissions or the specific permissions. I'm going to keep Jefferson, but I already have another profile, so I'm going to put just Jefferson Duran, just to keep a different name there. Country, United States, or region. This is mandatory to have our basic information. So we are going to select the region. Additional information is optional. Yes, it's more about to know better about you. So I'm not going to complete that part. And terms and conditions. Here is required both checkbox, which should select it. Also, you are able to read the digital age of consent term and the real, also the agree to IBM Skills Build terms of use. After that, we just click on submit. And when we click on submit, we are going to be delivered directly to our learning path. So click on go to skills build. And well, in this case, maybe it's because my platform, I'm seeing just one issue, but let me just try again right here. 1 second, it happens sometimes. So just 1 second. We are going to open the link again in order to be able to log in. I'm going to log in with another license right now. And just to see. Perfect. It's opening. As you can see, it's really intuitive. It's so fast to open this activity. So we are going to see e-learning crafting your professional image online. You have this one direct in one for micro-learning. It's so short, it's just 20 minutes to take it. But also you have a complete portfolio about AI that you can see, review, and also get more involved depending on your interests. So I'm going to click on go to the activity. This is the way to take directly one of our micro learning, and the system is going to address into this micro learning. This is going to be a so fast process of learning. What is our idea? You have two options. Look at this. It said crafting your professional image. So you have the option to click directly in this button or directly in a star. Any of them is going to be the same way. So I'm going to select this one, self-paced SCORM 1.2. This is the way of the micro learning that we already have created. And as soon as it's a start, it's going to take just few seconds. We are just waiting. So the content is loading. We are going to see this material. So it's a complete material and there are different approaches. This one is about professional image online. So it's going to be so easy to navigate. As you can see, it's really intuitive. Right now, for example, right here, we are seeing crafting your professional image online. Let me just 1 second. And here in the crafting your professional image online, you will see about what is the first thing that you are going to find when you think on your profile. So we are going to see like a short introduction. After that, understand what is our digital footprint. Look at this. We have different resources, like some cards to understand about personal websites and portfolios, online interactions, social media. Just clicking on that, you are going to see different explanations and you can navigate rolling up and down. So it's an easy management on that way. After that, we are going to see one of one or chapters. So, for example, there is a practical exercise when we talk about our digital presence. The easier way to know is if I browse, if I search my name into the browser, what I'm going to find. So, if you right, Jefferson Romero or any of your name. It depends on what is showing. So if you see some of your pictures, some of your articles, some of your material that is posted or published, it looks like your digital image is already more penetrated into the market. Otherwise, we can develop and improve that image. That's why this is a specific reflection. What do you find? Also, there are more than tips, a different way or routes to engage with professional networks. It's not the same to post in LinkedIn compared with Instagram, compared with TikTok or any other social media or any other network. So that's why we are going to see options of what is important about LinkedIn, industry specific online communities like blogs or professional association. Because at the end, when you type your name, also it's going to show what is related to your profile. So that's why it has a really important impact for us. There are some tips in this specific course. As you can see, we are navigating so fast. We need to read on detail, not just like taking notes and a checklist. So tips for network online. So we need to create connect with peers, mentor to be in a good network, engage by commenting and sharing content, as you know, quality content, and stay professional. When we are creating our professional profile, it's not the same that our personal profile or family profile. So we are going to see this one in those specific tips. If we continue with those specific items, we are going to see social media best practices. And there it is. So specific practices, privacy settings, professional profile picture, create cohesive brand across platforms, etc. And different topics about positive content creations. As we saw before, we have again some cards to understand achievements, community service, and hobbies and interests. It's about what kind of positive content we must create if we want to have a better presence, professional presence online. And almost ending this part and just to understand how it looks the course, we are going to apply the artificial intelligence tools for online content creation. We already have as IBM one of our AIs is Watson X, but also you already have options like Copilot, also ChatGPT. I guess all of you are really familiarized with this one. And using those kind of tools, the idea is to create or to craft a professional biography, also writing resumes, and to create social media posts based on those different suggestions and best practices that we are going to see using AI. So look at this. Here there is an interactive picture to see all that information. So like how to select the best profile picture, how to create directly or headline in a better positioning, also how to organize the education and licenses, etc. I'm not going to navigate more because the idea is that you have time to do it by yourself and in a better way. And well, that's really important about the profile, building connections on LinkedIn. So about how to create those connections, how to share, what to share, how to follow up and stay in touch. So this is what we mentioned about our course. Mainly of our courses about ending quiz. And this kind of quiz is especially to understand if everything was clear for you. But as you know, the quiz is to understand the knowledge. Now you need to apply and practice. So our main suggestion after you take this course is also apply that one and make more success for your profile. As soon as you complete this exam, right now I'm not selecting, I'm going to select just some options just to show you. I'm not going to do the quiz online. And we click on submit. We are going to click next. And the system will show you, congratulations, you have now completed this learning activity. You can close this window and return to IBM Skills Build. And in that moment, you already complete the activity, like exit the course, and that would be all. So this is about how to get involved in our micro learnings, understand more about the skills build. And now let's talk about one of my partners that he has really important things to mention today to you. He's the head of AI product and strategy at IBM. So thanks to be here, Matthew Fernbach. So it's up to you.
Jefferson, thank you so much for joining us. There is a question from a participant. Do some of these trainings come with any certifications that are accredited or count towards continued education units?
Okay, so yeah, we have some digital credentials. This specific one is a course, and you can add into your profile in LinkedIn. Also, you are going to see at the end of this specific course how to add those kind of skills into your profile. And also, we have digital credentials, and using a specific software that is friendly, we can have that one and add as studies or certifications in your professional profile. Also, there is one course about how to create that correctly. It's a short course. It's like a short video of 5 minutes in total. How to create your account correctly, and also how to complete, issue, and accept the digital credential.
Perfect. And can you share the link on the chat here so I can share it with on other places as well to make sure people have this link of this training?
For sure. The link for for how to create the digital credential, or the link for crafting your professional image online.
Crafting your professional image online.
For sure. I'm
Thank you.
sharing right now. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you so much, Matthew. The floor is all yours.
All right, and great job, Jefferson, on the overview of Skills Build. It's a really helpful tool that should help prepare for the future of work and getting you all prepared. So thanks again for the opportunity to be here today. I know I'll share my screen. I have some slides to go through on how we can help you get started to prepare for a world of building responsible and helpful AI. And Faiza or Diksha, can we do the same format as last time where, we can use the comments or interact?
Absolutely. Faiza is also looking at the comments, and we have both YouTube as well as our platform, which people can write questions on or answer to your slides.
Perfect. So I think just to start off, and let's have this be as interactive as possible, I would love for you to put a comment down, either if you're on YouTube or in the other channel, on what you think of first when you hear the word AI, and then also what you want to get out of this session. So I'll give a minute or two just to get started there. And if we see any comments coming in, please feel free to relay them back to me so we can get started. Okay, was there anything in the chat on what you think of when you hear of AI or what you want
Yes,
to
so
comment?
I do see somebody responding, AI to me relates to tools that can perform the work that humans can in a fraction of the time.
Okay, performing the
Somebody,
work fraction. Great.
someone's written ChatGPT. There are people who've written whether that's Gen AI or machine learning.
All right. Perfect. So thanks for submitting those comments. Feel free to keep adding those as the session goes. It sounds like that was a great first definition of Gen AI and AI.
And
And
Matthew, there are a few other things, and
oh,
maybe I'll
please.
start typing in comments so you can see them directly yourself.
Perfect.
Somebody's written, I think AI is a way of working smarter, not harder, almost like a video game cheat code.
Okay.
And another comment says, I'm autonomous professional. I'm an automation professional. I think of agents and efficient connections between systems.
Cool. Yeah, I like the video game cheat code. I know growing up, I would have a few up my sleeve that would help me get places faster. And I think AI, when you have the right AI in place that actually helps solve a problem, can feel like a cheat code at some time. And we'll talk a little bit about agents on how they're orchestrating workflows, connecting systems, and so on and so forth. So in this session, we'll talk a little bit about those topics. And again, I'll keep an eye on the chat. So AI correlates with subtle but distinct ambiguity and a few others as well. We'll talk about the evolution of AI, key terms and foundations. How do we build responsible AI, skills and roles that relate to AI, tying back to skills builds as we've been talking about, and simple steps that you can take to start your journey. So there was a great definition of AI earlier on how we can use AI to help accelerate processes. And AI is essentially, an algorithm that sort of mimics human behavior by learning from hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands or even millions about data points to either predict the next thing in a pattern or create something new. So you'll see that it helps understand languages, recognize images. You're probably most familiar with AI, using ChatGPT on your phone. It's becoming a lot more democratized right now. And it's really pervasive across finance, education, entertainment, healthcare. We named 4 bullets, but I'm sure we could name several more as AI is really almost everywhere now. And I love the example of AI as an electric guitar. A single pluck of a string can make a big sound. So that seems to go back to the fact of when we apply AI in an intelligent way and in the right spot on the guitar, it could really have a big impact. So to start off, I just want to set the table with an interactive, exercise to A, get people involved, but B, also set us up for the idea of responsible AI. So there'll be 5 images that we will share in the upcoming slides. And I want you to tell me which ones are you think is AI, if it's image A or if it's image B. So again, please just use the chat or the comment section that you have available to you to say which one that you think is the AI generated image. So the first one is of 2 frogs. Which one do you think had been generated by AI? Jefferson has a guess in the chat. Any more comments coming in? I know there's a bit of a delay. All right, so we have a split between A's and B's in the chat. So image A here was the one that was generated by AI, but it was interesting that we were split right down the middle. In this instance, you have some really simple round spots and early AI image generators. That was one of the telltale signs. How about this next image set? Yeah, which one do we think is AI generated? Okay, I could start to maybe see some coming in the chat. So in this instance, everyone said B. There was an overwhelming, influx of B, and you were actually correct. I think some of the telltale signs here was their hands were misplaced and some of the fingers were a little bit disorganized or disoriented. And again, in early image generators, that was a telltale sign. Which of these two are AI? See some answers coming in. Jefferson, thank you for the guess. And again, we're split between A and B here. This one, image B, was actually AI. It was a very simple shuttle where you have sort of the very organized jet fuel coming out of it, a very standardized structure. The one on the right is a little bit more realistic and based on an actual picture. Which one here is AI, image A or image B? All right, lots of B's coming in and one for A. This one actually lets me click. This one actually looks like A was the one that was generated by AI. The telltale sign here really is the illegible text. Well, it's a lot of times, again, with early image generation, texts were often blurred or, sort of jumbled up. And sometimes you'll see when you're generating subtitles to an AI generated video, it'll still have some of that text mismatched as well. And then finally, which one is AI, image A or image B? See it start to come in for a few more seconds. All right. Someone said both. Someone said B. There are a few different ones. Uh, I guess both are AI. Neither of these are actually AI generated. They're both images of Allen Iverson, whose nickname is AI. This is really just included just for fun because of his name. Um, but the others were very much AI generated versus not AI generated. And so why do we include this exercise? One is just to have a little bit of fun to kick off the session to get people engaged. But two is these images were generated by AI. I think it was early last year or sometimes during last year is when these were created. And even still, there was a split between the audience of several of these on which one was AI and which one was not. So it's often very difficult to tell. And today, with some of the new technology that's come out, I think, you may have seen Nano Banana with the new Gemini models, some of the other image generated models like DALL-E, they're getting better and better, and technology is moving very, very fast. So in a world where AI is becoming very prevalent, how to apply AI in a responsible manner is going to be increasingly important. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about the background of AI, but really how to start thinking about building helpful, responsible AI, the skills that come with it, how AI is transforming things like labor and the workforce and skills, and how you can prepare for it. To start, just a brief history on AI, because AI, I know, sort of jumped on the scene with the advent of ChatGPT that democratized AI really at your fingertips. But AI has been around for a while. Early in the 1950s, there was the Turing test where we even tried to differentiate human answers from an AI generated answers. And The idea is if you cannot tell if a AI has generated the answer or a human has generated the answer, that would pass the Turing test. The term artificial intelligence was actually created at the Dartmouth conference, where a ton of the top leaders at the time got together to start thinking about how we can use AI. And there was a very high level of excitement about this, but it led to an AI winter. So due to restrictions around compute and limitations there, maybe there were some misaligned use cases. The hype around AI didn't quite live up to the expectations. And I think even now, there's a lot of hype around ChatGPT. We saw instances where the application of AI may not have actually met up to the expectations, right? There was that MIT report that 95% of enterprise AI use cases didn't return, ROI. So we're going to talk about how to make helpful AI and how to make it actually solve people's problems. We talked a little bit in the onset. There was a question about the difference between ML and generative AI, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. I'd love for you to put in the comments, based on this timeline or just from your own experience, what's a seminal moment that you can remember about AI? Maybe one that made you like really impressed that AI could do something that maybe we only thought humans could do, or something that you really caught your attention when using AI. So like what's a rememberable moment or memorable moment that you had? If you could add that in the comments or the chat, would love to see what you remember from the history of AI. Let's see. Hopefully they start to come in. Yeah, any memorable moments with AI that caught your attention? All right. When DeepSeek dropped and they had all their claims about how, efficient their AI was and how cheap it was. That was earlier, I think earlier this year, that was a huge Sputnik moment. Okay, so we have a blog that sounds very similar to the author. So it's almost like a mirror image of yourself. You're able to create those custom GPTs to sound like yourself. That must be a really interesting moment to really see what you sound like and have a AI sort of mimic that. Complex topic in simple terms. Generating an analogy. So that's a great use case, right? The comment here was during a project, I asked AI to explain a complex topic in simple terms. It not only explained it to me, but clearly generated an analogy. When AI took my mom and grandma's old pictures and made them alive and move via digital video. These are awesome. And these are all really recent uses of AI. So first off, kudos to all of you for getting your hands dirty with AI and playing around with it. And I think with the rate at which the AI has been moving, with the accessibility of AI, there are these moments where you're going to try something new or try something that you thought would not have been possible, such as bringing images to life in video form that is going to catch your attention for both good and bad reasons. Good because it's made something, a task like really, really that you thought would be really, really impossible, easy to do in minutes or even hours, but maybe at times it could even be scary or give a moment to pause. There's another one here. A home remodel from an existing picture for my bathroom. It gave a great idea of what colors and styles we can go with. Mind blown moment. So again, making something really, really easy with a great application of AI. I think some others from history that maybe come to mind. I know when Deep Blue, IBM's chess model, beat some of the grand champions at the time. I think it was Garry Kasparov. There was the AlphaGo moment where we taught AI historically how to play this really complicated Chinese game called Go, and then it did a move that had never been seen before that everyone thought was a blunder, but it ended up winning the game. And so those were some moments in history. Now you're seeing more and more of these in your everyday life that not only like the ones that you'll see on a national TV or a national audience, but things that are coming up on a day-to-day basis that are just sort of blowing your mind. And it's going fast and faster, as we go on. And I'm just trying to read through this, recommend best healthcare insurance plan, ChatGPT public release, debug some code I made. And you'll see the advent of vibe coding and actually using AI to help generate code, not only debug, and find new information and create plans to start a new career. Yeah, all really mind-blowing, accessible moments for you in AI. One other moment that we may have mentioned was, or you may know of, is, when Watson from IBM played against all those Jeopardy champions and actually did very well. That was a historical moment that sort of stands out to people in AI and especially in IBM history. And one other really impressive moment from my own history is when I actually got to go up against Watson and play him myself. The score, I don't know how representative that really was, but that was a great opportunity to go to actually where, the Jeopardy episode was filmed and get to interact with that at the IBM research. So there are a lot of use cases that we talked about. I think one just thing to point out as we keep in mind are, and this is usually helpful when you talk to like big companies, but also just good to know, is there are different use cases for AI. A lot of people are just sort of using AI to solve almost any problem they have. There are applications where AI is going to be really helpful. A lot of that, which you've mentioned in the chat, using ChatGPT, using a code assistant, facial recognition. There are other use cases of a more simple automation where there are tasks that have a lot of data available and you need very instruction-oriented ways to complete that task, where you don't necessarily need to apply any artificial intelligence. You could leverage automation and rules to help accomplish the task. So I would say that there are different types of tools that are at your fingertips to do these various things that you want to accomplish. And the goal is to think about AI as a tool to solve a problem rather than the other way around where you have you're looking to use AI in any way you can, and you're looking for problems to solve with AI. So on that note, if you could again put in the chat when you're thinking about, and I know we're going to talk about more of the use cases for AI and the skills, but I also think it's important to get the lens of there are a lot of companies and a lot of opportunities in careers to build helpful AI. And you have to think about a lot of different factors on when you're building something to solve a problem or create a task. So what is the first thing that you think of or what do you think is the first step to build helpful AI successfully? And if you could put that in the comments and the chat as well. And I'll keep reading through the other use cases. Yeah, I'm going through all of these seminal moments of AI, and it's exactly the mix that I was kind of expecting. Again, a mix of really, really helpful and cases, and a mix where there are cases where AI may or may not be used responsibly, like when AI learned to blackmail others to protect itself from being terminated by a developer. Interesting moment that'll raise some eyebrows. So again, how do we make this responsibly? All right. So what do you think is the first step to successfully build helpful AI? A few that are coming in. AI that assists but not replaces or hurts humans. Human in the loop AI. It's a great answer. Understand the user case, user needs, desired outcome. Another great answer. Making sure the data used to train AI isn't biased. Figuring out or identifying a problem you're trying to solve. Talk to the users and figure out the real issue. All right, we have an awesome audience here today. I think there are so many different places to start understanding what's the root cause or reason for building the tool. And these are some really, really great answers. And I think what I've seen a lot of problems that arise when building AI, and maybe some of the reasons that led to that MIT, statistic that a lot of AI pilots fail is because a lot of companies were just looking to apply AI and they would start with, all right, where can we, like they were looking for AI first and then looking for problems second. And the first step, in my opinion, a lot of you all have echoed, was start with the people. Who are the people that are involved, in your process or that use your tool or in your organization? What do they care about? What are their goals? Like, what are their objectives? Two are, what are their problems? So AI should be a tool to solve people's problems. So what challenges are they facing today? What's preventing them from achieving their goals? Three is, what is their process? So what are the steps that people are actually taking today in their process to accomplish a task or to solve a problem? And can you map out not only what is their process today, but what is their ideal process? And if you can have a version of here's the as is process versus here's the to be process, you can start to work backwards to see then if AI is the right tool to apply to get you from that as is to be state. Four, and I think someone commented on this, as well, is what is the data available? AI is really knowledgeable and LLMs are really knowledgeable out of the box, but they become really extremely powerful when you customize the AI with tailored prompts, tailored data. So what is the data available? Is it in a usable format? Where does it live? I've heard of so many cases where we have such great AI use cases, but the data is trapped in spreadsheets or Word documents, which now are becoming more and more accessible, but previously have been really, really difficult to use. And then finally, and this is the part that a lot of people think of to start, is like, what is the model and then methodology? This is where you think of, all right, should I use ChatGPT? Should I use other LLMs? And so on and so forth. This is really the last step. This is really once you say, okay, I've identified that a person has a problem that has some data around it that can be solved by AI, then I would encourage you to do some experimentation, try different methodologies, modeling approaches. You may need machine learning as an approach, depending on the problem. You might use Gen AI and LLMs. But this is sort of the framework that I would think through where, the AI, again, is that tool. That is that last step where you say, okay, I have this really great use case that can be solved by AI. Let's apply this model or methodology to solve that person's problem. Someone said human in the loop AI. You'll probably have heard human in the loop, several times. I like to think of it as human centered by, even the methodology we had just spoken about. But today, still, AI is a tool that helps solve a person's problem. So, in the middle of all of the different aspects that you need to consider, you need to talk to people, talk to users, understand their problems first. And then all of these other items that you had all talked about, I think someone said the data used to train isn't biased, right? That goes under ethics and governance. You might want to think about what are the KPIs or metrics we need to optimize. What's the value that this will bring versus the cost of building something? What's the ROI I'm going to get? What are the resources that we'll need to staff or create this? What data is available? And so on and so forth. There's probably more limbs to this circular tree. But I'd like to highlight that humans are still at the core, right? We're amplifying the efficiency of humans to do tasks much faster than before or automate tasks that can be automated so that they can use the insights from AI to perform their roles much, much better and much more effectively. And I see some comments coming in. AI is great at helping you reflect on ideas. Be sure to ask it for possible problems, competitors. Yeah, using AI as a thought partner. Start with human-centered problems, definition, right? So define your problems when interacting with an AI of, human-centered. A few just fundamental definitions that have come up and just for you to know is machine learning and generative AI are two sort of branches of AI. We'll talk about machine learning very briefly first. So machine learning often comes when you have a set of historical data or training data, usually in structured format, and you're using that data to predict an unknown data point. So for example, say you're trying to predict the income of a person, some helpful features, and you have a data set, you may have a data set of people's years experience, people's college that they went to, what subject they studied, maybe demographics such as their age, height, ethnicity. And you could have a very rich data set and apply a machine learning model to predict a new data point of someone that comes in with all those features. You also have different types of models like time series models, linear models, tree-based models. But this is a branch of AI that typically uses structured data to predict, a new data point that hasn't been seen before. Within machine learning, and from left to right, you get a little bit more from broad category to a little bit more specific. Deep learning is a category of machine learning that typically uses neural networks, which are neurons that help sort of mimic brain activity. These are a little bit deeper form of machine learnings that are often more complex in terms of their compute power, and what they're doing to actually get to the calculation. And sometimes you have the trade-off between the complexity of the algorithm and the explainability. But these are all different types of, machine learning applications to solve that problem that I laid out initially, where machine learning is that broad category, and deep learning and neural networks are subcategories of that. And I see some questions in the chat. I'll get to them either along the way at a natural point or at the end, but please keep bringing in the questions. We'll have some time at the end. LLMs, and this is probably what we're more familiar with and more excited about right now, because of the advent of ChatGPT and Gemini and some of the, AI that are more at your fingertips. But generative AI is a new branch of AI that uses patterns that it learns in historical data to predict something that it's never seen before, either creating new sentences, a new piece of art, taking the knowledge of the pictures of you and of your grandma and your mom and making it into a video that had never been created before. And it's based on foundation models that are trained on tens of thousands or millions of data points so that the AI can recognize patterns in video, in image, in language, and so on and so forth. And then LLMs is a specific category of foundation models really pertaining to language. And that's the one that you're probably interacting with the most, or you have been recently. So in the comments, as I'm reading through some of your questions, can you please put in an LLM that you've heard of recently, or an LLM that you're familiar with? And if you can name IBM's LLM, I will give you bonus points. I don't know what these bonus points will amount to or how I'll translate and give them to you, but you get bonus points if you can name IBM's LLM. All right, someone put in Claude. All right, we have Granite. Complexity. Gemini. All right, any others coming in? All right, so yeah, we have several coming in. I think you named a bunch of the ones that people are most familiar with: Claude, Granite, Gemini. GPT is OpenAI's large language model. And whoever put Granite in the chat does get bonus points. Grok is X's or Twitter's. Whoever put Granite in the chat gets bonus points. That is IBM's large language model. Sometimes it's a small language model. And just because, I would encourage you for any of your use cases to think about which one applies best. There are different LLMs that have different sizes, different parameters. Some will be more expensive and are frontier models that have better applications on maybe larger reasoning tasks. Sometimes a smaller model that's more tailored to, a specific use case like finance, education, accounting, so on and so forth, can get you the similar performance results, but maybe for more speed or less cost. And sometimes that's the advantage of using a smaller language model like Granite. But each use case is going to have its own flavor on what's going to optimize the output of what you're trying to accomplish, or the business results or human results, versus what's the cost to actually use this, how fast can you run it. So I would encourage you to experiment with different models to get to the right, one for your specific use case. Someone said, I like Granite small. appreciate the feedback there for IBM's Granite model. So one other topic that had come up earlier, just from a definition perspective, is AI agents. Agents, and you may be familiar with assistants. You may have even interacted with assistant when you're either calling for customer support or filing a support ticket. Agents are very much like assistant, but they have additional capabilities to reason, react, and take an action on a user's behalf. So for example, an AI travel agent may know your preferences, may know your uh, some data about you in terms of where you've been before, where you typically stay, and it can help guide you for not only answering your questions, but also taking actions like finding flights or finding hotels and even booking on your behalf. And I think someone on the onset said, I want to know how agents are used to connect different tools and platforms. This is sort of one way to think, or one example of it, where you might have different tools that you want to take actions in. You can interact with the agent. The agent can start understanding what are you actually trying to accomplish, like getting a deeper understanding of user intent. And then it can use its tools to call out to a different platform or a different tool to then take an action in that, like maybe send an email or send a Slack to someone or book a meeting and so on and so forth. So we're starting to get to that level of intelligence. Quickly on on how to build agents at a high level. LLMs have a very large knowledge, a very general knowledge of things because it's trained on hundreds or thousands or millions of data points. They become more specialized when you give it instructions and data. So instructions can come in the form of prompts. So that's again how you interact with an LLM. Like you might want to read through documents or contracts, and you might want to say, "Hey, if you're reading through a lease, for example, hey, you're a real estate expert. Help me read through this lease and tell me what I should pay attention to." Right? This is an example of giving it a prompt or instruction to an LLM. But you can also provide relevant data to help it become more specialized or make it more specific with fine-tuning techniques and other techniques. And then when new information comes in or when you have a new prompt that you want to give to the LLM, this very tailored model that you've created can then apply, or agent that you've given instructions to can then be applied to this new piece of information. All right, lastly, before we jump into questions, I want to talk briefly about skills because I know we had the skills build technology that we had talked about earlier. That should be a really helpful resource. And skills are changing. So, what are some of the top skills you've accumulated in your past experiences that you maybe think would be helpful for AI? Or, what questions do you have around AI and skills? All right, I see skills, coding and workflow automation. These are a few that are coming in. Okay. So I'll jump into a few slides here just in the interest of time. Making automations using local models like Granite, GLM, and Fun. I get a job. All right, we'll talk about this as well. I think, I think this will come in the end. All right, so here are some of the skills I think of today that are really relevant and skills of the future. I won't go through all of them in detail. I will say that there are two different categories of skills that I think of when I think about AI of the future. One is this foundational literacy of very technical topics. And this is going to come from actually knowing about Gen AI, knowing about data structures, AI security and privacy, human AI interaction, agentic workflows. These are different types of concepts that I would encourage you to get a foundation to be able to speak the language at the very least. The good news about this is that domain knowledge has never been more easy to access, right? You think if you wanted to learn about quantum computing, uh, 30 years ago, you probably try to go to a library, pick out a quantum computing book. I don't even know. Okay, maybe that's not a good example because I don't know if that term was even around at that time. But the point is, you have to do some serious steps to get to that level of knowledge. The internet made it easy, but now with generative AI, you can actually interact with LLMs to get almost tailored learning plans to skill up your domain knowledge. So that's one. The area on top is what I'll talk about a little bit more because there are different ways to get the knowledge on the bottom. But I think a lot of you from your experience, and this is where I think there was a question earlier about humans using AI versus AI, who's gonna get what's the right take on which jobs will, survive. Here's where the humans really provide a very distinguishable advantage, you know, of AI application that's going to be extremely, extremely valuable. And a lot of which you probably have. So, for example, how do we define a problem that AI is going to solve? How are we finding the right use cases? How are we making sure we're instructing the AI to solve that problem? How are we communicating the value of that AI to different people? Because at some point, you're going to need to convince somebody that this is a good idea for either to get investment or for them to use. How do you lead a team to develop the right AI? How do you really think about, empathy and resilience and project management? So all of these soft skills are really important now, but will become increasingly important as we find the right applications of AI for different problems and use cases. And the other thing that I'd note is, we're sort of in the middle of a technological revolution, and there have been several of these throughout history. Back in the day, some of the emerging technologies were really around steam engines, textile machinery, basic electrical systems. They had their own sets of skills. The jobs of today, have a need for data proficiency, technical literacy. The jobs of tomorrow, you'll probably need to have more foundational knowledge of coding, AI, machine learning, quantum, sustainability, data ethics and privacy. But this is all to say that throughout history, jobs have been created, jobs have been destroyed, jobs have been, stayed the same in terms of job title, but have transformed. And who's going to win out in terms of, will there be more jobs created and more jobs destroyed? I think there was a study by, I believe it was a World Economic Forum, where they believe that 170 million jobs will be destroyed, will be created, 92 million will be destroyed, and somewhere around a billion will be transformed with AI. So they, suggest a net positive. But, we don't know what's going to happen until it actually happens. But this is just to say that there have been technological transformations in the past, leading to job change, job creation, and job destruction. And so we're in the middle of one. So let's think about how we can stay on top of the curve, to be on the right side of that. And so 3 actionable steps just before I get into questions. One, AI is changing so fast. So I would encourage you to establish a daily routine, either like podcasts, LinkedIn posts, blogs, and content. I know I have a few podcasts I listen to and I like every morning, a few followers and content creators that I would, follow just to stay up to date. 2, use AI to learn. I can't stress this enough. If you have a new topic or a domain knowledge, AI is so fundamental and as a thought partner and helping you learn about a specific domain that you can get an almost tailored learning plan. And I know some models have a deep research mode, a study mode that you can use to then get a really, really good understanding of a domain. And then finally, build an experiment. I think someone asked, like, hey, I've been playing around with GPT and all these other models. How do I get a job? Build something, put it on your resume, experiment with this different technology. Building things has become a little bit more accessible. You can play around with some, vibe coding tools to build a prototype. There are some different really good pieces of software that hadn't existed a year ago. But try to build something new, put it on your resume, say that again, you should know how to speak the language of AI at the very least. But even when I'm recruiting, I'm always looking for, do you have hands-on experience of building something with AI or Gen AI? So that's just a few pieces of take home. I'll open it up to questions. I see we have a few in the chat. I'm happy to stay a few minutes over, but Disha and Faiza, let me know what the best way to go through some of the questions are.
Matthew, thank you so much for staying over. And I can keep giving you the questions on the chat. I think that might be the easiest, and you can address them. I feel like we had a few before as well.
Okay, let's see. All right. I've heard two, and this there were no easy ones, easy layup questions, I will say. So great questions that you put in the chat. I'm happy to discuss. I've heard two statements: AI will come for our jobs, and people who know how to use AI will take our jobs. Which would you agree with, and why? So this is, I think, a question that's on so many people's minds, and it really gets to the center of how is AI going to impact the labor and workforce? And this sort of goes back to this slide that I was creating. I think in general, the way that I think about this problem is more in the terms of tasks and skills that AI is more suitable to do than humans. And then from there, I start to think about which jobs have those tasks and skills in higher majority. So any task that's really either very repeatable, data oriented, or step-by-step process, those are ones that are a little bit more likely to be replaced by AI. So like data entry, a lot of the assistance call centers, some of those more repeatable jobs where you have the data, maybe you have similar queries coming in. Those are the tasks that will be more influenced by AI. So I would start working backwards from that and start thinking about this in terms of, all right, what are the types of tasks that AI can do very well, things that are repeatable, data oriented? And then what are the roles that use those tasks, in spades versus there are opportunities to then say, hey, now I know which tasks are automatable. I know which tasks maybe are not. I have a specific set of unique soft skills to apply AI. Then you could start thinking about what roles, will be enhanced by AI versus replaced. So I lean more to the people who know how to use AI. Will be more successful in a world where AI is a tool to enhance knowledge and to help do things faster. Let's see. Someone said I've been making automations using local models like Granite, GLM, 4.5, Air, and Qwen, some Python, some MCP. How do I get a job? I would refer back to leveraging skills build as helping you tailor your resume, helping you tailor how to market and talk about yourself. I think, again, this goes back to the communication skills. When looking for a job, you're essentially trying to market yourself in the best way, shape, or form. So if you can understand A, how to speak the language of AI, B, show that you have experience building hands-on AI, and then you can talk about how you're going to apply your soft skills in a very unique way that only you have. I think that lends yourself well to positioning yourself in a very unique position that you want someone to be able to trust that if you're put into a new role that is going to be dealing with agents or AI, you can lead a team because you can speak the language. You can understand what it takes to get a task done or build an agent. But you can also have that leadership and communication ability to deal with either complex stakeholders or leadership to actually apply this in a way that's going to drive ROI. What bias assessment protocols and strategies do you apply when developing language models? I think this is going to vary. IBM is specifically focused on limiting bias and also being extremely responsible when it comes to AI. I think it comes down to just like transparency to the best of your ability. So you should think about if a model is open source versus open weight versus proprietary. I think I saw a few months ago on LinkedIn, someone from like a VP at IBM posted, here's everything Granite's trained on, and here's exactly what is used. So that's one way to limit it is just through as much transparency as possible. And then also just like testing it, right? I think someone said like RLHF or reinforced learning from human feedback is not enough. And fair point, but keeping that human in the process and actually testing the biases is another way to make sure that it's limited. Which podcasts or tech news platforms do you use? I'm not affiliated with any of these, but there's like an everyday AI podcast, the AI Daily Brief. There's a few from IBM too that I like. Tech news platforms, honestly, like I'll use ChatGPT or Gemini or Granite, or I'll ask like, hey, what are the news that you think I should know about today in terms of AI? Take my interest, or I'm trying to learn about XYZ. Tell me about the most frontier developments in this particular topic. I'll have to does IBM offer an agent building playground of any sort? I built agents and AI tools for clients, but nothing I could post publicly to prove skills to recruiters, employers. I would like to follow up on this. I think there is a grounded playground, but I'm not entirely sure. So if I find this, Deeksha, I'll come back to you and maybe I'll send a link on if there's an agent playground. Which industries do you think will be transformed most specifically by AI next? Again, I think, I'm actually not as familiar on the specific industries in terms of forming an opinion about that yet. Maybe I'll come back to that as some homework. But again, I'll sort of turn this question and again to the question that I wish you'd ask me, or the question I think is most the framework that I would think about this is start with, again, the tasks, right? First, get a very good fundamental understanding of what AI can do, what tasks are most likely to be transformed, replaced, or created by AI, and take that as a step one. Then see, all right, what are the different roles associated with those tasks? And then work broadly to what are the industries that maybe see a lot of those? I mean, I think sustainability is always going to be increasingly important. So if we want to consider that an industry, that's something that's, I think, going to be increasingly relevant, right? How are we going to make sure that this really large ecosystem of AI is powered efficiently from a data perspective, from an energy perspective, and so on and so forth? So that's where I think there's going to be a lot of creation. Every industry is going to be transformed, I would say. And again, this is just my opinion, but I would again work backward to like what are the tasks associated with AI. There are some comments that AI models are designed to be efficient, not correct. That seems out of alignment with what you say about finding the right use cases. Thoughts? Well, I think depending on how AI is going to be designed in different ways. Like I said, you have the very broad categories of LLMs to start, which are very generally applicable across many different topics, right? They have a base understanding of so many different things. So in that way, they might be out of alignment with or efficient in some things, but maybe not always correct. That's where I think the really good understanding of the problem and use case comes into play, because you can take this very broad, thing that knows about a lot of things, that's very efficient, but maybe not always accurate, and start to either fine tune it, but also just tailor it with prompts or instructions, provide relevant data, have this feedback loop with humans to then evaluate, hey, was this response correct? Was it not correct? Have that play back into your system to then continuously update and improve the model. There are different ways to make the AI more efficient, to become more of this correct. So that's, I guess, my thought there. Can AI take initiative, be proactive, and develop its own ideas and take its own actions with humans, prompting it to do so? Again, I'll say out of the box, probably not. There are always bad actors with any sort of technology. So is somebody could try to design a system that has AI act nefariously? It's possible. That's why I think the importance, now and going forward is really about responsibility ethics of AI. And I'm sure there's a ton of emerging technologies to continue to identify and catch bad actors. But I would say out of the box, AI is probably not going to be able to take initiative unless somebody, tries to create a system that does that. But generally, AI should be a tool that should be used helpfully and responsibly going forward. Yeah, and I see Deeksha. We can wrap up and I can capture any other questions for later. Thank you so much. This was a great great chat. I really appreciate all of your comments. It seems like this audience in particular has a lot of experience using AI. I would encourage you to keep using that experience and keep experimenting. And again, feel free to connect with me. Happy to continue the conversation. I know there's a lot of interest on this topic. Continue to establish daily routine, use AI to learn and build an experiment.
Matthew, thank you so much. This was a really engaging session, and we got a lot of questions and a lot of interesting comments. So, if people have more questions, feel free to reach out on the chat on the platform, and we'll try to see if we can get you the answers. And I think people are still asking, how can I stay in contact with you? So, there are lots of discussions still happening, Matthew, lots of interest. But thank you for taking the time, and there is a lot more happening on the platform right now with speed networking and other exhibitors. So thank you everyone for joining this talk.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone.